Hello. So I thought I would do a little bit of a topic here when it comes to overclocking a CPU. And that's because I've been reading on forums and stuff and people complaining that you have a K processor and you don't overclock it. And they kind of say, why do you buy a K processor and not overclock it? It's kind of a waste of money. Well, here's my reason. And I have this motherboard from Asus. It's the Z170-P. And yeah, I just have a regular graphics card here. I got an M.2 as well. I got a sound card in the PCI slot. I also got the RAID card in here. And installed here I got, of course, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM. And the processor is the Core i5 6600K processor. It's the Skylake processor, 6th generation. And it was launched 2015. So it's or Q3. So it's about 2 years old now. But I have this computer for about a year now. I bought this in August 2016. And I don't really overclock it that much because I don't really need it. And here are kind of the reasons why. Let's bring this up. Here you can see the maximum speed right now is 3.8, minimum 800. And there are a couple of reasons why I don't really overclock, because this is the auto settings. And default settings or frequency for this CPU is 3.5 gigahertz. And the turbo boost or turbo speed is 3.9 gigahertz. And people say, why don't you overclock? You have a K processor, why don't you overclock? Well, it actually has to do with power consumption and also heat production. Because when you overclock a processor, it will consume more power. It will also produce more heat, which means that your electrical bill will be higher and you need a better cooling, which means that you need to spend more money on the cooling. So the only time I overclock this processor is when I play games, when I record that gameplay, and when I do video editing. And here's the thing, I don't game every day, I don't record that games every day, and I don't do video editing every day. So why should I have a computer that consumes more power and produce more heat every day? So the only time I will actually overclock it is when I do gameplay recording and video editing. And when I don't do that, I just set everything to auto in the UEFI. So yeah, that's why I don't overclock every day, because you don't need the extra power to watch YouTube videos. You don't need the extra power to check your mail. You don't need the extra power to check Facebook. You don't need the extra power to check Insta shit or face crap or whatever it's called, the snap crap. So you see the temperature, even though I'm recording right now, the temperature in the CPU is pretty low with a basic cooler. If I overclock this to 4 gigahertz, the temperature will go up about 20 degrees Celsius. So it will be about 60-65 degrees. And you know that overclocking will also add a lot more wear and tear on the CPU. So it will sort of be killed earlier or break down earlier. And the previous computer that I had used to have a Q6600 CPU, and I had that computer for 9 years. And I used to have it overclocked from 2.4 gigahertz to 3 gigahertz for about 2 years. And after those 2 years, everything started to break down. USB ports start to break down because that's not the K processor. So I used to do a so-called FSB, front side bus overclock, which means that you overclock everything, not just the CPU. You overclock everything, every bus or whatever. On the K processor, you just overclock the CPU. But on the old one, you can overclock everything. And when I did the overclock, the entire motherboard started to break down. It started to fail. So that's why I don't want to overclock if I don't have to. Because overclocking will just add extra wear and tear on the processor. And it will also add a lot more power consumption and heat. And especially with the new Kaby Lake and the Coffee Lake processors, holy crap, if you overclock them, the power consumption goes up the roof. So yeah, I don't overclock that much. I don't overclock if I don't have to. I do only overclock when I do video editing and stuff like that, but as I said, I don't overclock if I don't have to. You don't need to overclock to watch YouTube videos. You don't overclock watching mail. You don't need to. It's just unnecessary wear and tear on the CPU. It's just unnecessary extra power consumption and extra heat. So I don't recommend overclock if you're just doing regular web browsing. Okay, if you do video editing or gameplay or whatever, just overclock it a little bit. I wanted the K processor because I wanted to have the ability to overclock when I wanted to. I want to have the ability to overclock. I don't want to be locked down. So I only overclock when I need to. Otherwise, I just run it in stock cooling or stock speed. So yeah, a little rant about that. That's why I don't overclock my CPU all the time, every day. I only overclock it when I need to. So yeah, see you later.